All right, you guys, so I have recorded this whole video already in front of my motorcycling car, but I got it all messed up because my microphone was really bad quality. So now I got a new one. I'm gonna do everything I did over there, but pretty much over here. So to start off, my name is GT Charlie. You guys probably know me from my FRS, but if you guys don't know me and you're just hopping in for the motorcycle, I just got a brand new 2024 CFMoto 450 SS. So pretty much this video is just gonna tell you like my initial impressions, just extra things that I noted, and finally just, extra words of advice or things to do. So to preface everything, I have ridden motorcycles for 15 years, and my very first one was a Yamaha Raz.
What is that?
A 1980s 50cc bike. Well, it's kind of like a moped pretty much. So the second one was a Kawasaki Ninja 250cc, and the third one was a Triumph Daytona 675R triple. Now I didn't ride it really fast, and I never really used its full potential and its full speed, so that's why I kind of started dialing back. After I had like an accident with the 600, I just felt like, like if I'm not gonna go that fast, I might as well just dial back and find a really nice bike for me. So I felt like the 450cc has already been pretty much meeting every single expectation I had. So to start off with my initial impressions, the very first thing is I really like how the bike looks. I mean, it's so beautiful, right? And between the 450s and the 300 SS and the Papios, like just everything from the CFMoto line and even the naked bikes and stuff, I just think the 450 is just the best looking one. And you can just see from the scoops in the back that kind of look like the Ducatis, and the wingless in the front. I just love that GP Moto look, and yeah, everything about this thing is just great. The styling is just so nice. Another thing that I really like is the LED screens. That LED screen is just so nice. It's like really big. There's so many different options to look at things. You can go for your odometer on the corner, and then like your trip A's and B's somewhere else, and then you can see like your battery voltage, and that's like super important to me, and I've never had that option to see that before. But something that is really cool is kind of like there's like a music thing where you can hook it up with your apps and stuff. And so I've been looking on Reddit and stuff and seeing how people react to that, but I guess they're not really feeling it. So I'm just gonna leave that alone and kind of just focus on my ride and enjoy what's in front of me. In the meantime, there is some type of like accessibility port like on the bottom left. It's like a USB port or something like that. I'm not really sure what that is. Probably it's just to charge your phone or something like that. But I mean, on a bike, I just feel like I wouldn't be charging my phone on my bike, so.
Oh, you're silly.
When I got on the freeway for the first time, I was very worried about like if I'm gonna have that same power as the 600 did. I was wondering if I did have that speed, and actually the 450 does have the same speed that I wanted, but just not like the oh my gosh, this is way too fast speed. It was like just the right amount for me. So I do really appreciate that. If I wanted to pass somebody up, I would. So yeah, good for speed. The next thing I kind of want to talk about is the seating posture. So sitting on the bike, I feel very comfortable sitting upright or even just laying down on the tank when I'm on the freeway. Yeah, just any way that I'm sitting, I feel very comfortable. And that seat actually feels a lot different from the other motorcycles that I've had. The lights are actually very bright, and that's something that I usually do on all my vehicles is I change everything in the front for like anywhere from like 4,000 to 6,000 Kelvin lights. So I would go for like a white or a light blue, and that thing just really shines. So I love that. Something that was brought up to me at the dealership was that it had built-in frame sliders. So I thought that was pretty cool, even having those like little light blue strikes on it and stuff. But now that I know that that's like an OEM thing, I feel like I need a cage around it or something to protect that too. I really love how the brake lever and the clutch lever is adjustable. So there's like these knobs on each side that will bring it closer and further away. And as soon as I was at the light, and I've already hit that clutch a couple times already, I was like, oh man, I need this thing way closer. I was adjusting it right at that red light, and it was so easy to adjust. Kind of thinking about it, like if you get a 300 SS and you try to get any of these features I've already mentioned, feels like you'd probably already spend the same amount as a 450 SS, but you wouldn't have the engine power behind it. So I'd actually recommend the 450 over the 300. And last but not least, if you are looking to get rid of that long tail in the back and you want to get one of those tail tidies, I think this is the perfect one to do it with, because it just looks like there's like 3 bolts in the back that you just unbolt, and then stick on whatever you want, and I'm sure wiring would be very easy. Good job on the engineering, yes, yes, yes. So here's some things I do want to mention. People were asking about the 0 to 60s on that bike, and I'm still in my break-in phase, so I'm not really into like testing it during this time. This is like my first time ever being in a break-in phase as well. So I'm kind of nervous sitting in here. But there's a YouTube channel called, I think, Motorcycle Demo Riders, and those guys, I think the guy actually just goes into a dealership and just tries a bunch of bikes. He claims his 0 to 60 was 5.4 seconds, which seems pretty good. I think my 675 back in the day was like 3 seconds flat. I think I can work with 5 for sure. Whew, ran out of storage with that 4K, but anyways, one thing I don't like about the bike is the high beam switch. And for some reason, I keep accidentally hitting it and it turns on. And when I'm at home and I check my display, it says my high beams have been on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how long has it been? So you get on the handlebars, and like if you're really close to the center right here, then you can accidentally flip it up and it stays up. So pretty much you flip it up and it stays on the whole time. You flick it down and it'll just pop back up, kind of like flashers. I'm not actually feeling the sound of the motorcycle either. So you know, some of those bikes out there that have like really high compression and really high revs, we don't really see red lines that high on this 450 SS. So in my next video here, I'm gonna show you guys and only get to like 12K before it starts bouncing off of it. But even then, it doesn't bounce off of it and have that really high-pitched sound. So I really miss that sound. But this 450 doesn't sound like that. It sounds comparable to some of the 700s and some of the leader bikes that I've heard before that like don't have really high red lines. But so I think the closest I've heard of it that is around the 450cc would definitely have to be the ZX4RR and just pretty much all the 600s that are super sport bikes. So a lot of people on Reddit did say they weren't using the app, or it was really funky, or didn't connect very well. So we definitely need to talk about parts availability. You're gonna look for parts. You can definitely get them at your dealership or AliExpress. Bruh. And I know how that sounds, but I just ordered a bunch of parts from AliExpress, and I'm actually pretty happy about the quality of all of them so far. I've only opened up maybe like 4 or 5 packages, but from the 4 or 5 that I have opened and installed and made videos for, I am super happy with it. I think maybe in the near future, you're probably gonna see some, parts availability in the US, but for now, yeah, I would say just stick to AliExpress, because it seems like some of the US stores that I'm looking at are pretty much buying from over there and reselling it over here for more. So we should talk about things to do or things we should try to get done quick. So if this was me talking to my alternate universe self, I would say these things. And the very first thing is buy a dedicated key holder or chain or whatever like that, and don't use a lanyard, but just pretty much something that is like easy to identify. Just in our household anyways, like got a bunch of keys sitting in one pot, and it's just like kind of a nightmare sometimes to go through the keys because the CFMoto ones look exactly like any other key. So I ended up getting one of those light blue caps for it from AliExpress, and they kind of screw in and screw out. Works just fine. The second thing is, I would say if you guys are gonna check out your exhaust, think about like if you're gonna get headers and the exhaust, or would you rather just do the slip-on only? So from what I saw, you can get systems as low as $100. That's just the slip-on and the adapter, for example. Or you can get systems with headers and stuff and the slip-on and all that. All together would be anywhere from like $600 to $1,200. I think while the CFMoto is sitting in our market, there's gonna be more demand for aftermarket parts and for mufflers and slip-ons, all that stuff. I'm sure if we give it time, there's gonna be more stuff. But right now, all I'm seeing is AliExpress stuff and like 1 or 2 name brand ones. But just to go back on the slip-on idea, I mean, it's just so cheap. I got my slip-on for like, I think it was 20 bucks. And then the small adapter pipe was another 20 bucks. That was like 40 bucks for the slip-on system. And granted, it saves a lot of weight when you take off that OEM muffler. If you go headers as well, then you're gonna be removing your catalytic converter. Anytime I remove my cats, then I'm always throwing engine codes. And so it's a good time to think about a tune if you're gonna do headers as well. I do wanna wait for a time where there's a lot of information on tunes and we can get like a 92 octane soon. And maybe at that moment, I might start thinking about headers and seeing what's available on the market. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna do slip-on and call it a day. So all I need is sound, and just for people to know that I am there on the road so they can try to avoid me when they're pulling out of their street. Don't forget chain lube. I'll say if you have time, read the manual. It's a very short read on each page. There's one thing I do gotta mention, and there's this guy on Reddit, and his name is Upset Carpenter 4982. This guy was talking about how he didn't like his bike at first, and he had to do something to make it wake up. And after he woke it up, then it was like a night and day difference for him. As a matter of fact, he really was preaching this so much that he commented this thing like 2 or 3 times to different people. And what he said was to just adjust the throttle cable. So as soon as I was finishing up, I asked them right away. I was like, hey, there's a lot of play in the throttle. Can you guys just fix that? They're like, oh yeah, sure. They bring it to the back, and the guy comes out and says, oh my gosh, that woke it right up. I'm like, oh, okay. So that guy was right. So yeah, if you're gonna get that 450, make sure you adjust the throttle so there's less play in it. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. So thank you so much for watching. If there's anything you guys want to see with the 450 content, just let me know. I don't think I'm gonna get an Insta 360 thing yet, but I think if there's a lot of people watching, I might have to do it. But anyways, guys, I hope that helps you guys out, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace. Hopefully this video turns out good.